Okay, now that we've been through how to create dimension styles and how to dimension a drawing, next thing we're going to take a look at is how to edit our dimensions. So after we already have dimensions on our drawing and they're in the wrong spot, or maybe our drawing changed, how do we go about updating those dimensions? And then also, whenever we have one or two dimensions that just aren't exactly like the rest of them, how do we go about just updating those certain dimensions? Okay, so the first thing we're going to take a look at is how to edit dimensions. And so for this, you should still have, hopefully, you still have the drawing from your last video. And I'm just going to delete some dimensions here. I'm going to delete all my dimensions and just want to have a couple of dimensions just for us to work with as we work through this. So I'm just going to create a linear dimension, and I'm just going to go from, it's going to be the overall length of this part. So just go from endpoint to endpoint and place that down somewhere down below the part. Okay, so most of the time whenever I need to edit a dimension, it's because something changed. And so say for instance that this line over on the right, that it moved, and it moved a ½ inch. So the overall length of the part got a ½ inch longer. So now I've got this line hanging out in space and I need to update my dimension. And so one thing I can do is I can use grip editing. Just like we grip edit lines, we can grip edit dimensions as well. And so you'll see that with this line, my dimension is attached to its grip. So as the grip on my line moves around, my dimension goes with it. And so that's one way, is when you go to grip edit your lines, your dimension might go ahead and update along with it. Okay, the other way is just instead of selecting the line and editing the line, is to do the same thing. So if you go ahead and hit escape and now go ahead and click on your dimension, now you've got all these grips that show up with your dimension. And so you can simply, if you click on one of the grips that's attached to the object, you can just click on it and you can click out in space if you really wanted to. I'm not sure why you'd ever want to. Or you can click on it and you can choose a different point. So maybe we just wanted this dimension just to locate the center of our hole instead. So we can stretch it around and we can move it around like that just by using those grips. And that works from either side. It works from the left side, it works from the right side, it works from the top or bottom if you have dimensions that are on the sides. And so you can use those grips to edit it. Also, these other grips, the middle one, if you choose it, you can move your dimension lines up and down, and you can change the placement of your text. So if you needed to stagger your text for some reason, you'd select this middle grip, and then you can move where your text is located within your dimension lines. Also, if you just wanted to move that entire dimension line either up or down, you can click the grip on either end and move it up and down to adjust the spacing for where you located your dimensions. And that works the same on the left as well as on the right. Okay, so that's grip editing. That works for all of your different dimensions, whether it be a linear, an aligned, an angular, diameter, a radius. It works the same for all of those dimensions. You can just click on the actual dimension and then move it around as you need to. Okay, the other thing that I wanted to take a look at is when we have some dimensions that aren't the same. So say for instance I'm going to add another linear dimension on here. And then I'm going to add one more. And so we've talked about this in the other class, that whenever we have our overall length dimensioned, then we don't need one of these two dimensions, or we can make it a reference dimension. So if we wanted to make it a reference dimension, what we can do is just double click right on the text itself, it takes us into a text editor, and then we can go ahead and add our parentheses before our text and after our text so that we can indicate that as being a reference dimension then. We can also do this the same way. Sometimes we have text associated with our dimensions. If we wanted to add some text on our 4.5, maybe this 4.5-inch dimension. Maybe it happens in a couple different places. If we wanted to type 2x to indicate that it occurs 2 times in our drawing, if it's associated with like a chamfer or something like that, then we can use that same method for updating our text in there. Just double clicking on the text and then adding whatever text that you want associated, or whatever text needs to be associated with that particular dimension. Okay, the other way is to use properties. And so I'm just going to undo the changes I made there. So the other way is through properties. So on the home tab of your ribbon, come over to your properties panel, click that little arrow down in the lower right hand corner of your properties panel, and that brings up this property dialog box. I end up going to this properties dialog box quite a bit as I'm working in AutoCAD, so it's something to be familiar with. And so if we click on an object in AutoCAD, doesn't matter what it is, I'm going to click on dimension this time, it pulls up the specific properties for that dimension. And so here, say for instance, I wanted to change this to be to 3 decimal places rather than to 2. So if I have 1 or 2 dimensions that would be a different style, or they just appear to be different from other dimensions, then it's okay just to go through properties and update those. If I have 3 or more, just go ahead and create a new dimension style so that those view the way that they should be. So here I'm going to just come down in here, and you'll see in here that all of those properties, all those parameters that you find in dimension style are all summarized here under properties. We've got our lines and arrows section. We have a text section, a fit section, and a primary units section. Also alternate units and tolerances. So we can manipulate each one of these individually just for this one dimension. And so I'm going to come up here, and I just want to change how many decimals are being shown, how many decimal places are being shown to the right of 0. And so I'm just going to change this to be 4. And now that one dimension changed, but the rest all stayed the same. And I can continue to work through here and make changes that only affect this one dimension. And so I can do that through properties anytime I just have 1 or 2 dimensions that are different from all the rest. You know, I could also turn on alternate units in here, and then I can show my metric units with that, and I'll want to put a suffix that goes along with it. And so I could do that just for that one dimension also. So whenever you want to just change one dimension, you'll do that through properties. You can update that, and then when you hit escape, your properties box stays open, and then you can go ahead and click on another dimension and make the same, or make other changes, make different changes to it. Like say for instance on this one, we wanted this one to be a fractional format rather than a decimal format. So on dimension units, you can change it to be fractional. It's going to go ahead and change. You can change your precision here. And those changes again are only being made just for that one particular dimension. Okay, and so that's really all you need to know about editing dimensions. How to adjust them using your grips, how to move them around, how to resize them, and then also how to edit the text whenever you need to associate new text or other text along with your dimension, and how to make modifications to 1 or 2 dimensions at a time through using properties through your properties dialog box. By the way, you should never be editing the dimension that's shown in there. Like say for instance, if this shouldn't be 2 and it should be 2.5, you don't want to go in through here and just make that change in your text box, because now it doesn't matter how long that dimension is, it's always going to read 2.5. So we always want AutoCAD to be filling that text for us. We don't ever want to override what's in there. Okay, and so if you ever do that by accident, the way you get it back is you can double click on it and then just select everything in there, and if you do less than, greater than, if you type that in, then it will go back to being the default of reading text for it. And again, that's a less than sign, and then you do the mirror image of that, which is the greater than, then that'll fill your text. The other couple of things that you might need are a diameter symbol. So whenever you need a diameter symbol, it's going to be percent, percent, and then you do a C. C is in cow. Do percent, percent C. That will be a diameter symbol. If you ever need to create a degree symbol, the way we do a degree symbol in AutoCAD would be percent, percent, and then D is in dog. So as soon as you hit that D, it's going to change to be a degree symbol. And so those are the popular two that we have to enter in manually from time to time, is the diameter and the degree. There are a few others, and I'll cover those as we come across those in class. So that's how to edit dimensions.